Episode of Paperhats Season 4, we spent most of our time here at the base. We placed over 50,000 blocks to get these walls up to max height, and then we popped on over to Mr. Gold's base, where we built this humble creeper shrine. This was for his build competition that he's hosting in his desert oasis. In my opinion, it turned out fantastic. In today's episode, it's finally time to start getting some real progress in one of the 6 districts that surround the White Gold Tower. The first one I'll be working on is the Market District. Before we get too carried away, I'm Dr. Jankovic, and welcome into the wonderful world of Everbloom. This is a moment we've been waiting for. We're finally able to start on one of the districts. Recently on stream, I spent a whole lot of time measuring all this stuff out, trying to get it as symmetrical as possible. However, with the way the walls are and the way Minecraft is, it couldn't be completely symmetrical. So we're gonna have an interesting challenge of making this district look good, even though it's not symmetrical, and there's a lot of diagonals. Historically, I'm not too great at making diagonals look good, but you know what? Minecraft is a learning experience, and I'm willing to learn, so we'll make this look great. First things first, you probably noticed there's a lack of quartz brick down on the paths here. That's because these blocks are a little bit tedious to get. Your 3 options are piglin bartering trading, mining, and villager trading. Now here on the server, we have 2 of those methods so far. We have villager trading, and we have mining. Between the 2, I've been able to keep myself entertained. I have been mining a ton of blocks, and honestly, villager trading is so much faster. I switch between the 2 when I get burnt out on the other one. And with that being said, I do have an entire shulker of blocks of quartz. Let's bang out this path here, and we'll get it all converted to quartz brick. As you can see here, we have all the paths converted to quartz brick, and we're ready to start on this area over here. This whole time we've started from the inside, working our way outside, so it only makes sense that we start here. Now in the game, I will put a screenshot up on screen here so you know what it looks like, but there's a nice path, there's some pools of water, and of course we're gonna have to work on those quartz pillars here on this wall. The quartz pillars in these districts really make me nervous because around the circles, we can do it very symmetrical. However, around these walls here and over here, you see that one is flat over there. This one is a diagonal. In these 2 halves here of the circle, everything's just different. So we're gonna have to really measure it out by hand. But who knows, maybe once we get one district down, the other 5 will be really easy. So without further ado, I think this is a big enough project to roll a time lapse. Well, that was a lot of fun. We got the quartz pillars placed down, and we have these water pools all finished, complete with texturing and some seagrass to give it some more detail. One thing we thought of on stream is to complement the water here, we put some diorite on the bottom of the quartz pillars to kind of make it look ruined, and we even placed some deep slate bricks instead of stone bricks because it would make sense that the water would kind of waterlog the stone and make it slightly darker. I thought that was a really nice addition. But so far we have the quartz pans down, we have the waterways there. I think it's time we try to do one of these buildings here, at least get started on it. But first we do have to switch gears for just a moment. If you remember in a previous episode, Mr. Gold helped us out with a lot of chests. He gave us access to his bamboo farm for the rest of the season, in exchange for an IOU. Now in that video, I told you that, you know what, I hope that doesn't backfire, and honestly it really didn't. He asked for 6 shulkers of mud, which honestly isn't too much to ask, especially since we have basically unlimited free wood for the rest of the season, so I think that's fair. Although we're gonna have to go to a mangrove swamp, we're gonna have to get 6 shulkers, and we're gonna have to use some shovels. I think I may only have 1 shovel, so we may need to do some enchanting as well. Let's see here. We have a whole bunch of shovels, so we should be good. And we're on our way. I'll see you at the mangrove swamp. Well, getting 6 shulkers of mud was a little more painful than I thought, but honestly wasn't too bad. Took a little under 2 hours. And we have most of it here. We're just lacking a little over a stack. I think I'm just gonna take some dirt from my tower and convert it into mud manually. And here's all the dirt we're gonna make mud out of. All we need is a block of water, some water bottles, and then we can get to converting. And then we can dig all this up. I love the noise it makes. And you know, we can't just give any old shulker box to Mr. Gold. We need to dye them the right color, so let's make some mud-colored boxes. And we're off. Let's go to Mr. Gold's base. You know, while we're here, we might as well scope out the build competition. Looks like we got some builds coming up. I think this is Jan's plot. Looking great so far. And the others have a bit to make up, but I'm sure they'll get right on that. Such a smart thing to do, to host a build competition to fill out your area. Maybe we need to do that. But let's get back on track here. We need to leave these mud blocks for Mr. Gold. If I had to guess, this blue block is the middle of the pyramid. Now, it does look like he has mismeasured. Maybe. I'm not too sure about that. But I think right beside here, we're just going to leave a tower of boxes. There we go. He'll definitely notice that. Make sure to leave a sign. And you know what? Mr. Gold can't have any old sign. He's got to have a gold plated sign, I guess. I mean, that's more like gold foil, gold text. I'm not really sure. It's yellow text on a side. But there we go. Debt's paid. We have everything we need to do. It is time to stop procrastinating. Let's get back to the base and let's work on the build. All right, guys, it is time to stop procrastinating. We need to get on with the build over there. We need to do that building over there. But you know what? I just had a thought. It is a little bit distracting having open walls while we're trying to make that place over there look good. So maybe we cap it off. Definitely not procrastinate. I mean, this is important work here. Let's grab some stone brick slabs, and we'll cap this off. Now, when you're capping off walls, it's extremely important to take your time and place each one perfectly. It just makes sure that you don't have to destroy anything and place it again. Saves so much time. But this really is just a lot of careful placing. So give me just a few minutes. I will see you back here, and we'll review it when it's done. And here we are. We have placed a whole bunch of stone brick slabs all the way around the market district. And yes, I realize what this means. I have to finally quit procrastinating. We've got to get this build done. But honestly, it was nice to get this done here. I've been meaning to cap off all the walls lately. I've just been doing it in little segments. And it was nice to grind the market district all in one go. But let's talk about this build for just a second. So I will put some reference images up on the screen right now, just so you can kind of see the block palette and the theme that we're going for here. But this will be a bit of a courtyard here in the middle. There's going to be a little pavilion here. There's going to be multiple shops along the inner walls, and maybe there might be a few on the outer edges. I haven't decided just yet. But my plan is to worry about the layout of the building later. I know that's not normally a great idea. However, I'm not really sure what shops are going to go where just yet, and I'm not sure what I'm going to be storing in. Plus, I really want to get you guys involved. So if you have any ideas for shops and what I should store in them, please do leave them down in the comments. So all I'm worried about today is getting the exterior mostly done. I want to get the walls up, and I definitely want to get the roof up to finally see what the roof is going to look like. So let me gather a few supplies out of my tower, and we'll see where we're at. And we're back with some supplies here. Now, the smooth quartz I had to leave back at spawn. It is actively smelting up, but we all know what smooth quartz looks like. But other things I brought is a lot of diorite and an entire shulker of stone bricks. It's really not that complicated of a build. The plan is to put down stone bricks and the quartz pillars that are on the outside of the building. Maybe we'll build some archways with the diorite, but once that's done, we'll go and smelt up a few stone bricks and add some crack to it just to give it a little bit more texture. And as you saw in the reference pics, I will put them up on the screen again. That's pretty much all the texture we'll need. It's pretty simple. It's just the tricky part is making it look right with all these diagonals. So let's get started. That was definitely an interesting build, and honestly, I'm not sure that I like it. Now, first of all, the roof almost looks good, but it's not quite there. With the way I measured this, I think I could have done better in hindsight. The way I measured out the building meant there were imperfect diagonals, and that just doesn't work with a roof like this, as I'm finding out. Not to mention none of it's oxidized, and it's supposed to be fully oxidized. But if we use our imagination and imagine all the orange as green, we can still see that it looks terrible. And I've spent so many hours so far trying to get this as smooth as possible, but it just doesn't look very good, does it? Just to put this out there, I am not a quitter. I did try some things to make it look better. Aside from trying to smooth out the roof as much as possible, I tried to do some fancy textures here on the walls just to take away from the roof. I was hoping maybe it would even itself out, but it just did not do the trick. Although I do like these textures, I like the polished diorite up top, and I like the tough at the bottom. That's definitely a start, but I just can't get over that roof. And you know, sometimes you just gotta know when to start over. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tear all this down, and we're gonna start over. I think there's a much better way to blueprint this building than what I've done here, so it's all gotta come down. But before we do that, you've already heard me complain about it. I think it would be wise to take all the copper that I have and use the next district over, turn this into a copper field where we can oxidize all the copper before we actually use it. That'd probably look so much better than having to wait for all the orange to turn green. There's something just so satisfying about a field of copper neatly organized. Look at all this. I was watching a stream recently where they were making this diagonal pattern, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I think this is still the maximum distance to make copper oxidize fastest, and you can even see it's already oxidizing more than our roof over there, so it must be working. With that being said, it is time to start working on taking down the building over there. I love a good destruction time lapse, don't you? And that's a job well done. It honestly felt very good to tear that down. But we've got plenty of wool. Let's go ahead and mark out the blueprint. And here's the blueprint. I'm feeling much better about it this time. So now that we have it on the ground here, I can finally show you. So over here, if we look at this path, this diagonal is what I call a perfect diagonal. I'm not sure if that's the right term for that, but that's what I call it. Basically, it just means there are consistent blocks all the way down the diagonal. So 2 blocks, 2 blocks, 2 blocks, and it just repeats like that. My problem that I was having with the old building is I was trying to conform the outer edges to this path here and vice versa over there. And then over here, I was doing some kind of janky diagonal, trying to make it look like the shape of the building in the game, but obviously that didn't work out for Minecraft, and then it made my roof all wonky. So then the other thing I had to worry about was, do I want a 2 block center? Do I want a 1 block center? And obviously I want a 1 block center. So I made sure to make everything 7 wide on the diagonals because we're mainly going to be using the side spaces as shops. The back section here, we were able just to do a straight diagonal, nothing special about it. And it looked wide enough with just 5 blocks in the middle, but we got to keep it odd, so there is a middle block here. And over on this side, it is a janky diagonal, but it does repeat all the way down. So you have 2 blocks, 1 block, 2 block, 1 block, and so on. And so these inside walls, I made it match exactly with the outside walls. So as long as we can find a pattern for the roof, we can mirror it on both sides and meet up in the middle. That's the hope, at least, and maybe we can avoid having to tear this thing down again. I've got all my supplies in order in this chest here. Let's try this again and see how it goes. Okay, so it's been about 4 or 5 days or so since the last clip. It's just been a while since I've talked to you. It's been a lot of hours of building and deciding things, but it's been fun. Let's talk about it. This thing looks absolutely amazing, and it's going to look a little bit different from the time lapse just because we have decided a whole lot of stuff off camera. The reason for this is because it was a whole lot of small things. We did a lot of experimenting over at twitch.tv/Dr. Jankovic, and that doesn't make for great video content. It would have been choppy, would have been slow, would have been boring. So I decided just to cut off the time lapse and recap here. So first, let's talk about this roof over here. Now, because of the way we laid out the building with those quote-unquote perfect diagonals, each section of the building had its own perfect diagonal, its own pattern that I was able just to repeat all the way up to the top here. And as long as you make sure that both sides have that same diagonal, it meets up in the middle really neatly. I'm so happy the roof turned out this well. I was really stressed about it. Honestly, I thought I might have to scrap this video and work on something else, but no, it turned out okay. We're just a little bit late publishing this. But that was just one major success of this thing. The other thing I'm so excited about is we were able to pick out the block palette, the style of the doors in the market district. It looks very, very good. First of all, we decided to keep the doors open, not actually have doors that you have to flap open, because they do look neater this way since it's on a diagonal, and also for accessibility. This is going to be my storage after all, and it would have been kind of annoying to have to open a door and go to each shop. Eventually, these will be separated rooms, but we did decide on a floor. This is actually stripped oak with stripped birch and chiseled bookshelves, which were very, very expensive, but we spare no expense here in the Imperial City. And the really cool thing about this, since we have the block palette and the style set out, most of the buildings in the Imperial City, even in the real game, are very, very similar. So we're going to be able to paste this style over to every other building, and they're going to be similar, yet very unique in their own way. And I will say we're not quite done with this just yet. I do need to do some details on the wall, and we need to work out some interior so we can start moving our stuff in here. Which brings me to my next point of concern. Obviously, this video was late, like I said, and it was because this was just a tremendous amount of work. Now, like I said, in the future, it's not going to nearly be as much work because we already have everything planned out. But that's probably another good point. If I keep pasting these buildings around, that's probably going to make for boring video content. So here's what I propose. I think I'm going to work on these buildings, the structure, and pasting the styles over on stream mainly. And for these videos, we're going to worry about interiors, thinking about major base plans, figuring out where things go, and we have some very, very special projects coming up very soon that doesn't have to do with just plain old boarding buildings. There's going to be interactive things in this city. If you want a bit of a hint, all I can say is PvP arena. Anyways, I've rambled on for too long. I know this is turning out to be a fairly long video, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. This is all the time I have left. This video is super late. Guys, thanks so much if you've made it this far. Remember to like, subscribe, leave your feedback down in the comments. Let me know if you like the build or what I can do better to make these videos more interesting. Guys, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time for episode 14.